And we are live.
Everyone thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. There's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Grounds coffee is my guilty pleasure. The aroma is so intoxicating. It brings all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Grounds coffee. Coffee to die for and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so disgusting.
The Dorkening and all affiliated shows are not intended for anyone under the age of 18. The following may contain discussions or scenes that have adult situations, graphic violence, nudity, strong sexual content, and graphic language. This show is intended for mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised.
You're watching Tanner's Haunted Secrets
on the Outline Network.
What they say.
Dun, dun, dun.
There's a secret sound heading deep within the center of the earth. Until you listen closely enough, you can hear it. And it sounds like razors through flesh. We are merely here to turn up the volume.
This is Maximus Christian Bryant with the Ohio Hunters Association, President, and you are watching Chainer's Haunted Secrets on the Outlight Network.
Yes, you are, and I am really glad to have everybody here today. I have a wonderful guest, and I have had so many people on this show talk about this one person. Now, I actually had to reach out, and I amazingly have Alan Hops. Alan Hops.
Finally.
Alan Hops is such a wonderful and amazing person. If you get a chance to meet him in person, it is a great honor. But he is so much of a wonderful person in person that you're like talking to a friend.
I am no one of consequence. No, I just do haunted house stuff. That's it.
Which that's great because this show is all about everything and anything dealing with the haunted house industry. And we love this haunted house industry. And Alan, can you tell us a little about yourself? Well, less than Troy, because Troy would go an hour just talking about himself. That
was the first part of his show, actually. Boy, I think like my little name there under my name, I'm a haunted house guy. I've done haunted houses since I was 10 years old. I haven't missed a season. I fell in love with it then, and it's just that this is something that it's haunted attractions to me feel like a calling more than they feel like a job or a career. I have no idea what I'd be doing if I wasn't doing this. I think I'm good at three things. I'm good at scaring people, sword fighting, and loving my wife. Like those three things, that's all that I'm really good at. Thank God I can make a living doing one of them. So
like three of the best things ever.
Are.
And you know what? After the show, please let your wife know I said thank you.
She's probably watching. I bet she's watching.
she might be.
She's amazingly supportive.
Yeah, she is absolutely a wonderful person to have a conversation with. But yeah, so we're going to get into a couple different things because honestly, there is a lot of things to Alan Hops. You are a wonderful person and you start making YouTube videos. And when you start making them, why did you start making them?
Well, YouTube was kind of new. Before at that point, we had email lists and we had some forums. We had like Fright Forum and we had a couple different forums. There was the old Howl list of of tips and things, but getting information to people in the 80s, which is when I like really started haunting, and early 90s, I call it goldfish bowl haunting, because one haunt would develop techniques inside their goldfish bowl, and they didn't want other goldfish to jump into their bowl and learn those techniques. It was very much a, don't let those actors in, they're going to steal my ideas. And I remember I was like 13, 14. I was hearing this from several haunt owners. They're going to steal our ideas. And I thought at that moment, I'm going to do great in this business. I don't have a shortage of ideas. I have no issue with ideas. If ideas are the currency and the value of something that you want to guard, then I'm going to do great, because I can just keep spitting out ideas, no problem. And I've never had an issue with that. They're not all good ideas, but I certainly have a lot of ideas, and I have the false confidence to try them, which is huge. But hearing that and knowing that now there's a thing called YouTube, and anybody can post videos on it, like that was new. Like, I know it seems so weird now to say that was a novel idea, but I remember when bottled water came up as an idea. I remember watching the news and them saying no one's going to buy bottled water because everybody has water at home for free. And now it's an $8 billion a year industry, bottled water. But it's YouTube was so awesome because I wanted to build a library of techniques, so that, let's try to straighten up a little bit in my chair. I'm kind of leaning forward. A library of techniques, right? So that if you had a haunt or you were going to build something, I need to dry brush this. How do I dry brush? Boom, I had a dry brushing video. And I just wanted to make these videos so that if you needed to do something for a haunted house, as soon as everybody has the information on how to make their ideas real, if everybody has the same skill set or the access to the skill set, then what separates us is our ideas. So I'm not afraid of sharing technique and sharing how to do things, because the good ideas then bubble up. I'm not afraid of AI. I know that it's, in some ways it's impacting art and whatnot. There are negative side effects to it, but it's removing a skill barrier. Yes, that take many years to develop, but so did Photoshop. There's all these leaps forward that are happening, and YouTube was that cusp of, I'm where I'm at because I grew up when I did. I grew up and the internet started. I grew up and YouTube started. I made it through MySpace and Facebook and all of those things that you could use for everything in my life, because I'm so haunt focused. How do I use this for haunting? How do I use this for haunting? And that's just what I do. So that's why I made a YouTube channel. And now look, I got a play button right there.
Yes, you do.
I didn't know it was there, but I saw it the other day. Somebody put it in there behind me.
Did you hear that we are now officially canning air?
No one's going to buy canned air.
Right?
Yeah, no one's going to do that.
I think that only works for Spaceballs, but we'll find out.
We got air at home.
Yep.
Don't need air.
You guys just made me think of Dr. Seuss, the Lorax. Oh, air. Anyway, because we were talking about that over the weekend. That's why it is, Raz. Anyway, you have absolutely been talked about on our show so many times that I actually had to put in a special scroll for you because, and I kid you not, there was just so many people that was talking about you, and every single time we had to actually put this in because you have given the creativity to so many people, And so many people have brought you up and said, hey, if you need to know this, go look at Alan Hops. He's got a video on that. You want to know about this? Go look at Alan Hops' videos. He's got this. And it is amazing just seeing the people that line up to see you at conventions.
Well, what me and my crew kind of talk about is they'll jokingly say that I'm famous. I say I'm as famous as a weatherman, but instead of in one city, they all know the weatherman. They're spread out, all over, So it's that amount of people. But I think I did, the channel did start with me making a library of techniques in my brain for pro haunted houses, because that was my background. But it quickly turned into home haunters had access to, pro scenic crafting and pro, painting tips and that kind of stuff. And that really changed the audience into a little bit more of a home haunter base. And then cosplay started rising up, and I've got a lot of cosplay, people who watch the videos and want to learn techniques, because I do a lot of costuming as well. But I think what I do is I just give people permission to make stuff, to try. Go ahead and screw up. I'm a screw up. And you can watch me mess up on every single video. I do something wrong, or I'm impatient and I touch it before it's dry, all the time. And if I can do it, then anybody can do it. And I think I just give them permission to make things. And
you are
have permission.
The Bob Ross of the haunt industry.
Oh boy, those are very kind words. Bob Ross was amazing.
Yeah,
what he did, his work, his craft, and how nice he was to people.
But he also gave people permission to get out there and to do art and to make mistakes and to not give up. So, like, what I'm saying is, there's a lot of parallels here.
Yeah, and I will accept your compliment. Normally, I'm not good at that, but I will accept your compliment.
I've been at this. This is my 31st season, man, and I have a very short list of people to look up to and learn from. Being here, and it's so long, but you've definitely been someone. I've used a lot of your techniques over the years for sure, and I greatly appreciate you, man, and everything you do.
Well, thank you. I see it that I have a massive list of people to learn from. Right now, it is such an amazing time to have Instagram, to have YouTube, to have Facebook, in order to be able to, I call it weaponized scrolling, because I'm not doom scrolling. I'm not wasting time. Who do I have on my searches and in my feed? I've got art installations. I've got costumers. I've got, movie special effects artists. I have Broadway stage designers. And I'm looking at that, and the amount of information and skill and creativity that we have access to now is phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm a drop in that bucket for a community, hooray, but don't by no means stop at me. There are so many bigger and greater and amazing people that we can learn one little thing from. Learn one little thing from them, and then put it in your collection, and then move on and grab the next thing.
In the beginning of the show, I made a comment how easy it is to talk to you and how wonderful it is to have a conversation with you. And this is a key point right here. Exactly. You're not just saying, oh yeah, you could learn this stuff, but I'm this much. You actually admitted that you say that you're a small piece.
Oh, absolutely.
You want people to go out. And that's one of the great things about you, is that you are so humble and you're so wonderfully talented. And there are things that everybody can learn, a little from here, a little from there. And there's just so much of a list of people that have taken the things from you because you offered them. And I know that you go to different conventions and you will show your techniques and this and that. And I will be the first to say that, not everything that one person does is going to be easy to do, but you have found a way to make a lot of things easy to do until they can get a little more experience and build their steam up.
That's the hope. That's the hope. It's what are the three things, and you can only choose two. It's good, fast, or cheap. You can only pick two of those, and a lot of, because of the nature of my work, I end up with the fast tab. It's like always slid over, you know.
Right.
And then, so do I need this to be really good, or do I need this to be really cheap? And that's going to make the other choice for me. But I do like to see what's being done and then find a way to do it differently. I'm not going to say better, because better is circumstantial in every case. But find a way to do it differently, to find more options for people, I think is good. I work very hard on my channel to do things that are repeatable. You might have to practice a bit, but to do things that are repeatable. Sometimes you'll see someone, well, I got this out of the garbage. This is a half a blender. I got this out of the garbage and I'm making this out of it. That's very cool if I find half a blender in the garbage. Sometimes, you know, you have to say, you know, here's where you buy this, here's where you get this piece. And I want it to be repeatable. That's one of my prerequisites kind of for a YouTube Wednesday video.
One of the things I will always point out about Alan is it's not one thing here or he's good at one thing here. No. As I'm reading the comments, it is costuming, it is makeups, it is mask making, it is a haunt acting DVD. And I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yes, I made several haunt acting DVDs because I kind of noticed a trend in the haunted house market when you're a haunt vendor and you're selling to other haunted houses. A company would come out with a product that was a good idea, and then you will see similar products pop up, somewhat copycat, but that's a free market, you know, that's how it goes. And that's something that I've always kind of worked into what I do. I was really hoping that you would see all kinds of other people pop up and make actor training DVDs. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. Right. You know, I'm still wishing and waiting for, you know, a bunch of actor training DVDs, because I do think that seeing other people's styles, you can watch videos on YouTube, you can watch haunt walkthroughs, but to hear the techniques of what you do, what works more often, why it works, and when it doesn't work, you know, and when to switch tactics. I think that those skills are that I've been able to develop them over time. I did, 8 years or so as a year-round haunted house actor in Orlando. I was raised in Maryland area. Then I moved to Orlando to work at Terror on Church Street and Skull Kingdom. And then I would take my vacation time and work at other haunts around the country in October. And in 2001, I met my wife in Texas. She didn't know she was my wife, but I knew. So then I got back to work in October and then finished out the season there. By January, I'd moved to Texas.
Oh yeah.
So now I gotta know, when you met your wife, did your wife understand what she was getting into?
She didn't even see me. I was a 8-foot tall bat monster. I was a quadruped bat creature on stilts, right? And when I'm acting, I don't break character. It's very rare for me to break character in any way. So I had a security guard, and I gave the security guard my email address because my wife was taking pictures with a digital camera. Those were new back then. And I told the security guard backstage, tell her that I don't have any pictures of this costume. I would love copies of the pictures that she's taking. And if she could email them to me, I would be very thankful. So we had never even seen each other when we started emailing back and forth. I ended every single email with a question to make sure she had to write back.
That's awesome. You know, that's one of the things, you know, we meet so many people in the haunted house industry. For you to meet somebody and say, you know what, I really want to get this girl's attention, and you found a way to do it, even though you're in a costume.
I've been thinking about this lately. Um, we live in a world full of lonely people. Because while we have technology that gets us closer together, we also have technology that prevents us from making the same kind of relationships that I made growing up, the same negotiating skills, the same, you know, we had to, when I was a kid, it was okay, go out. You know, I'm 7, but I have a bike and I can be 2 counties away on my bike.
Oh yeah.
As long as I'm home by, you know, I think it was 11, you know, as long as I'm home by 10:30 or 11, then, you know, you had to survive on your own, you know, and I'm not saying that that's better. What I'm saying is that there's some negotiation skills, there's some conversation skills, and just making friends and reading a group of people and deciding, well, I don't have any help with me. You know, I need to, you know, avoid these people. Those skills are they're not missing, but they're harder to develop. And we have, and that has caused a world full of lonely people. Haunted houses are the freaking answers to that. There used to be, and they were a big part of haunts, is all these, you know, men's clubs or different clubs, Knights of Columbus, you know, the JCs, and they did haunted houses. All these guys got together and did haunted houses and raised money for charity and whatnot. Some of those organizations are gone, or at least downplayed, but that communal getting together with people of like mind, that happens in haunts all the time. You know, how many times have you heard about haunt family and, you know, the just the friends that you make and the connections that you make? It's important, and having a haunt community and being welcoming as a haunt actor, I think that is your number one skill that I'm going to look for. I want to from here's what I want from a new haunt actor. I want you to walk up to, if you see someone sitting alone, you sit next to them and start talking. That's what I want.
Yeah.
Because those times in the break room, those times at training, those times when you're waiting for makeup, you know, I would much rather see them talking to each other than scrolling on their phone or just have headphones on. And everything we have now is to cut the world off. And it's about, you know, you're a better haunter the more you can look at the world and absorb and take in, you know, the confidence that you gain from it, the ability to read people and see situations that happen in a controlled environment where you're kind of the king of that playground, you know, if you're a haunt actor. I think that's massive, but I think more people should be encouraged to do it.
I love that you said that personally. I know at our haunt, I'm pretty much in charge of the actors. I make them do a lot of, you know, team building stuff just in general, because we also have like a Nerf slash Gel Blast arena. So sometimes I'll make them go out there and do that. We do picnics. We do, you know, all kinds of events, not just during haunt season, to promote that family and togetherness. We help each other move. You know, we try to instill that, especially into the younger ones. So that way, when we're out of the business, we've still got people coming up in the business that are going to take that wherever they go.
You know, culture is something that I'm coming into late. Forming a culture, I have led by being a bull for a long time, and you know, but now I'm really seeing the value of gathering a culture of people and making a community that everybody wants to be in. One of the tricks about haunts, one of the hard things is that in the show, we have to build an environment that makes someone uncomfortable when they walk through it for 10 seconds. And then I'm asking the actor to stand in that same area for 6 hours. You know, that is, I'm psychologically torturing them, you know? So the least we can do is encourage some trauma bonding with the other cast.
Yep.
Right.
But having a culture that is, we have a fragmented society a little bit right now, in that everybody is assigning themselves to a group, or which has kind of always been the case, but I think because of social media and bias and echo chambers, every group is kind of just reinforcing themselves.
Yeah.
It's a very odd hand gesture for reinforcing themselves. I think having at haunts, we get a lot of people who feel like they don't belong to any group, or they feel like their group isn't strong enough. They feel like their group is misrepresented or misunderstood. And I think they're right. But at a haunt, everybody's equal. You know, everybody comes out of the same darkness. And I think that is the key to haunt culture. It's a balance of, you know, your youngster people who are green-haired and blue-haired and, you know, don't quite fit in, you know, maybe they're part of a marginalized group and they feel a little bit ostracized, and they'll come in and they'll have a little clique. And then you have a group of men in their 40s and 50s, which is one of the most lonely groups in the country right now, who they kind of have their own group. And making those mesh and making those two ideas and concepts and have them understand each other and see each other's viewpoint, it's a chance for the young people to respect the work ethic of the older people. It's a chance for the older people to respect the drive and energy and passion of the young people. And they each kind of siphon that from each other. And if you are doing a haunted house right, that's what you get. You know, if look at your cast, if they're all the same, maybe you can, you know, broaden something up. This is really awkward sentence until I explain it. I used to think in the context of 18-year-old boys. When I was designing a haunted house, every actor in the scene in my head as I'm building the room is an 18-year-old guy. How unfair, non-inclusive is that? Over the past 10, 12 years, I really broadened it. And now I'm making sure that I have a scare possibility or character in each set for different body types, for different energy levels, for different mindsets, you know? But I think that's what it takes now to have haunted houses be what they need to be, the public service they need to be for our country. You know, it's you go to a haunted house in order to cheat death, feel like you survived, feel like a superhero. That's why they go. It serves a need of out in the world. I'm no longer chased by monsters. You know, we beat the dinosaurs. We beat the big cats that used to hunt us. We're not hunted by anything now except other people. We have really tamed the darkness. The world is really pretty safe. It really is. And the way to beat that, because our brain hasn't caught up with how safe society has made it, is to make it feel dangerous for a little bit. That's why we ride roller coasters. You know, that's why people get in a car on the highway and they want to drive really fast. But, you know, you don't really get places much faster, but, you know, you get a little bit of a thrill. And we provide that thrill. An antelope never feels more alive than when it just got away from a lion. And the guests get to feel like those antelopes of, yay, we escaped, you know. And the cast, who are from those marginalized groups, who might lack confidence out there in the world, get to be lions. It is a win-win for everybody. I think haunted houses are one of the best things ever. No other venue, no other event or type of entertainment does a group of people go into it and immediately get closer together. Nothing else does that. You know, that's why haunts are my calling. I'll never do anything else. I'll find a way to keep doing this forever. It's been my only job. You said I know a lot. I make up actor training DVDs. That's because if I get slightly burned out on something, I can jump on something else. I can learn airbrush makeup for 2 or 3 years. And then I can learn stilt costuming for 2 or 3 years. Then I can learn mask making for 2 or 3 years. And being able to cycle those skills within the same industry, what a phenomenal opportunity that I have had. Everything I have haunts have given me.
So I gotta add something because with your entire list, uh, you should absolutely put on there a wonderful, inspiring. Uh, oh, I forgot
Well,
that part.
so I think I know where you're headed. When you are a haunted house cast director, you are one part director and one part motivational speaker because
Mhm.
you have
There
to
you
get
go.
them. You have to get them. I can't challenge my cast to love haunted houses as much as I do, but I always ask them to find a reason to love it. You know, they've got to find a reason to love what we're doing. There is no monetary gain from this that you're going to get that will replace your knees, that will replace what you will hurt your body for haunting. I think you'll
I know
strengthen
that.
your mind. I think you'll strengthen your mind, but I think that you might hurt your body some haunting. But so you have to make sure you love it. You have to make sure that you're getting out of it um, something positive. And I think there's stuff that you can get out of haunting that you can't get anywhere else.
I totally agree, and
Mhm.
I think it's amazing exactly what you were saying on everything. And yes, you're absolutely correct. There are so many different parts to the haunt house industry, and people look at my haunters that are underneath me at my haunt because I am a haunt owner, and our haunt is a donational haunt. We absolutely operate to donate the money into the community. Not a single penny goes into my pocket. In fact, probably thousands go into the haunt more than I'll ever see out of it. But I'm okay with that because the haunt actors that go in there are the ones that want to work together, they want to play together, they want to figure out, and they know that yes, the world can be a great place, but these are also the ones that don't feel like they fit in, so they come to our haunt. And in fact, some of them have lost parents, and I have become that extra parent
Yeah.
just to be that support that they need. Um,
Or
so
just
yeah,
or just a positive influence.
yeah,
You know, I need to go to a haunt to be around a guy that doesn't treat me like I'm a dirtbag. You know, I need
Yep.
to go to a haunt in order to, be treated with respect because that should be what's happening in haunts. And if your director isn't doing that, then man, go to another haunted house. You
Yep.
know, um, here at my desk. Let's see if I have one. I do have some. This is my recruiting cards, right? And it says, you know, let me make you a Monstar because yeah, we're scary, we're being monsters, but it's also a chance for you to carve out a piece of stage to put a spotlight on yourself, and 10 feet further into the haunt, someone can have picked out their own little spot of darkness to hide and grow in. Isn't that
right,
amazing?
It is,
yeah,
man.
It's amazing. You can have one set that has worked three different ways by three different people, and it's all successful, but they just did different things
Yep.
because of what they needed or what the guests needed at that time.
right. And it's just I I've always said that at no point can you have two haunts that are exactly the same because the people have lived their lives differently that go in there and act. You can tell them, hey, I want this from you, but they're going to put their own twist because they have lived different lives. And this is what makes them feel comfortable. This is what makes them feel great. And I'm really glad that the haunt industry offers this to people.
Big time.
At dark hour, um, I tend to figure out paths for the actors. I'm a firm believer that you can tell someone what to do or how to do it. And I normally here's what I want you to do. How you do it is largely up to you. You know, you could put your own tweak on it, your own spin on it, because the actor is the details. You know, there's the setting and there's the music that sets the mood and the lights and the scene. But then, you know, that's your paragraph. Those details, that punctuation, that's all the actor. You know, they need to put a spin and put a twist on that scene and have the confidence to understand I'm making the haunt the way that I want it. My one moment can affect a customer forever, you know, in a negative way or a positive way.
I think an aspect of haunts not enough people talk about is the therapeutic side. We talked a lot about family, a lot about things like that, but so many, and Kyle kind of touched on this a little bit as well. You know, I've been through homelessness, I've been through this loss of parents, so many things that if I hadn't had the family that I built, you know, over the years of different haunts and where I am now, I don't know how well I would have gotten through everything without that support, without that one constant that's been in my life that I always know that I can go to when I need it. And there's something to be said not only for that, but when you're an actor, I mean, any part of a haunt that where you're contributing to the experience and you get to see how the customers react to that. You get to know that you helped create that thing. You helped give them that experience, and it's uplifting. You know, there's a lot of positive mental vibes that go into that.
100%. When you change the oil in your car, you have to take that oil to a place in order to dispose of it properly. A haunted house is a place for you to go and shed your darkness. You know, get that out of your system. You know, I'm actually not great at getting angry anymore. Like it's very rare for me to get angry, for me to raise my voice, for God forbid, threaten someone. Like I don't really do that because I have faked being angry for so many years and for so long. You know, I understand that the emotion is just that expression of emotion, of anger, of rage. It's a show. And, you know, I have poured so much of that darkness for me into the haunt. Yeah, I can fake it pretty good now, but I have a hard time generating it outside of the haunt. And it's rare that it's necessary. I think my life is better because most of my darkness is in that building. You know, it's in a trail behind me. It's in home haunts, you know, scattered around the country because they built a little project that I made. And that art therapy of making something, massive. When there was nothing there before and you did work. This is another theory that I have. So much of people's work right now happens in the computer and on the computer screen, whether they spend their day tapping a keyboard and doing that kind of stuff. But it's not like you're framing a house. When you go to work and you frame a house, at the end of the day, look what I did. Holy crap, look at what I did. You know, and electrician, you know, it's at the end of the day, I plug something in here and now it lights up because of all the work that I did. And you see a benefit to the work that you did. More and more of our work is becoming where you don't see the benefit. You know, you don't see something at the end of the day. You come into your office the next day, there's a pile of papers about the same size and the computer screen hasn't really changed. And that's why people need to make things, you know, make a change, make what's inside of you, whether it's your vision, your concept, your tweak on something that already exists, put it in art. And if it's scary, put it in a haunted house. You know, let people look at a part of you that you discarded, and they will appreciate it. You didn't, you discarded it, but they appreciate it, and that's a remarkable thing to see and to hear.
So you just brought up something, and I've got to ask: have you ever just start working on a project, just looked at it, and just thought, you know what, I just want to trash this right now? Or have you just taken the time and altered it until you felt comfortable with it?
If something isn't the way that I want it to be, that just means it's not finished. You're just not finished with it yet. Now, here is where a lot of people and home haunters have been kind of done a disservice. Okay, they don't have deadlines. They do, but it doesn't have to get done. They could do it for next year. It doesn't have to, right?
Right.
Finished is better than perfect. If I was going to get a tattoo, I think that would be it. I don't have any, but I think that might be it. Because if you write down 100 ideas, what have you made? Nothing. But if you finish one, you have something for people to talk about. You have something that you can say, I did that. You know, it's finished is better than perfect. And perfectionism is the enemy of finished, because you're going to keep working on it and keep tweaking it. Having that deadline, I've always had deadlines because this is my job. It's a very weird spot that I'm in, where my job is so many other people's hobby. You know, there's plumbers. They don't have to contend with, you know, they work 40 hours a week plumbing, and when they go home, they do something else.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's not a group of people who plumb things on the weekends for fun. Isn't that weird? Isn't that weird? And that's been an aspect that it's been my career for so long. I'm just kind of learning and realizing that, yeah, this is a hobby for people. And that is what has made me think so introspectively about haunting, because home haunters and haunters who only work haunts during haunt season, they have a different mindset. They come at it from such a different angle that I had to work to understand it. And it's really helped me to grow.
So how do you get past a haunter design block or a writer's block or whatever? Because honestly, right now, I have not been out to my field just because I have such a block on it, and I don't know how to even walk through the trail and start constructing.
So one of the things that I say is the hardest part about my job, I have to have creativity on tap. Having writer's block, having a not knowing what to do it's not possible. Like there's too much going on. I have too much to do. I have to be able to turn the tap on. Creativity comes out, and then the hard part's turning the tap off, being able to sleep at night.
Yeah, that's so true.
It's so like it's being able to spend the energy in the right places. It's looking at, I hate to say everything, but looking at everything, widen your focus as much as you can when it comes to your haunted house. And there's going to be a million little things to do. And it's what is the signal in this that I have to focus on? And then the rest is noise. And you work on that signal and you get that thing finished until, you know, the noise then becomes a signal because you quieted all the other things. That's one way to go about it. Like, what's the big thing that you have to do, and focus on that? Or put on the eyes of the customer and walk through your space like a customer. How often do we walk by something on the ground and we're just used to it being there, so we didn't pick it up? Yep. You know, or there's some cracked trim that, you know, now in a haunt that might blend in and that might be considered scenic dressing. But, you know, if there's cracked trim or there's something that's broken that you haven't fixed because you're used to walking by it, put on the eyes of a customer and go through your show, and you will find a million more little things to do, and have a day where you're just nibbled to death by ducks. You're in that haunt, you're in that environment, and you are doing all of these little tiny jobs. A lot of times for us, it's taking a cup of gray paint into the dungeon and hitting up where all the foam is missing. You know, if I spend an hour doing that or 2 hours doing that, or going through everywhere that I can see a shiny screw head or a shiny washer and hitting that with some paint, and knocking that down, by the time I'm done doing that, boy, am I ready to focus on something big. Because it's that change of bandwidth, change of focus, near, far, and you fix those little moments, you fix those little ideas, little problems, and then you're ready to back up and focus on big problems.
It's absolutely amazing.
Well, what's your goal? Go ahead, Raz.
I was just saying, hell yeah, man.
Yeah, I mean that's
just the way to do it. Yeah.
There's how do you approach it? You just approach it. It doesn't matter which way you approach it from, because every haunt is different. Every haunt is art, and there's no right way to do it. Every haunt should be a reflection of its owner or designer, and every haunt has a right to exist.
Yeah.
Just because I don't agree with what they're doing, or that's not how I like to run a show, as long as they're treating people kindly, as long as they're not leaving damaged people behind them, then that haunt has a right to exist, no matter what that theme is or what that concept is. If it's, you have to be off of the norm enough for you to be a destination, whether that's not just for customers to go, but I need to show people what I care about in dark hour. And then the people who care about the things that I care about are going to come out and say, I want to work here. I want to be part of this. That's important. Your customer is going to come out and say, that entertained me. That was different enough from my world that I enjoyed walking through it. And then your cast, your people are going to say, that's my world. I just misplaced it. And now I know where it is and I can go be there. That's what you want, in my opinion. Someone else will think differently, and they're right too.
Alan, I will absolutely tell you, you are the most inspirational conversationist.
1,000,000% on that. Yeah, dude.
Jesus Christ.
You said so many things that I didn't realize I needed to hear, honestly, legitimately, until you said them tonight, and it's got me thinking positively about some things I've been struggling with lately. So that's in the haunt and stuff. So that's awesome.
The only way that I am remarkable, the only way that I will admit to being a remarkable person, is that at 10 years old, I decided what I wanted to be when I grew up, and I never missed.
Yep.
I never deviated. So whatever it is, I've got experience from 10 years old all the way till today. And every day I get to look back at what I've done, and I get to look around me at who's doing it with me. And I'm learning from all of them. But you have me talking about something that I love to talk about. You asked me to talk tonight about something that I've dedicated my life to.
Yeah.
If I don't have some insights, if I don't have some bits of conversation or I'm not necessarily going to say wisdom, but at least tips, then, I should rethink what I'm doing. I should head down the sword fighting path or love my wife more. But currently it's scaring people. And as long as that keeps working out for me, that's what I'll keep doing. And it's such a worthy pursuit. I want everybody to do it with me, because the more people do it, the better it gets.
Right. And I'll tell you, when we started doing this show, I flat out said, this is something I'm passionate about. I love listening to haunters, hearing their stories, figuring out this and that. And as we have progressed in this show, we have had many different people throughout the United States, and I have just absolutely been blown away in the things that they have done. And I knew coming into this show that this was going to be one of those shows that I'm going to see a lot of different things. And you have just spoken about so many different things that I'm sure that I'm going to go back through, rewatch this, and work with my crew on. And I've even said, hey, this is something that you guys need to watch, because this guy absolutely has got something figured out a lot better than a lot of people, which when it's your passion, you want that passion to grow.
Definitely.
You divine you assign a value to a hero based upon their villains. My job as a haunter is to be an amazing villain and make all of the people who go through feel like the hero, that they survived something. You know, if you walk by a fence and you just walk by a fence and there is a little dog yipping at you, you know, that is not necessarily remarkable. But if you walk by that fence and there is a two-headed Rottweiler who is barking at you and hitting against the fence and it's almost coming down, that's a story you're going to tell. You know, that is you have defined your moments by that villain that you had there, you know, and that's what we do. We have to be out there. We have to be larger than life and scarier than death. That's the hope. And people will remember that, and that's what builds your haunt audience. Then you have, you know, your cast. Just by I'm a director. I'm a haunted house director, and I have come to that conclusion. What that means to me is that I have picked a direction. I am headed towards dark medieval fantasy. That's where I'm headed. That's my direction. And I'm going to march that way so strongly, like a river, and other people who enjoy that will get swept up in my current. I dare you to try and hold me back from it. You know, that is what I do. There are other people who are like, I like apocalyptic cannibals. That's what I love. You know, and I'm going to make a show all about that. Hooray. Awesome. You're also right. You know, it doesn't mean that, you know, I think any less of the show. Just do it well. You know, if someone goes to a good haunted house, they'll go to another one the next night. If they go to a bad haunted house, they might never go to one again.
That's true.
And wouldn't that be sad for them? You know, that's what drives me to help, you know. And for a long time, every hobby, every thing that you enjoy doing has to have two components. It has to have a component that you can do with a communal group. That's when the haunt is open. And it has to have a component that you can do alone. Can I go and haunt alone? I can go build a set. I can go make a costume. I can go hold an actor training in June or July, you know. I can start a podcast. You're haunting right now, you know, 100%. You're haunting. You have found a way to fold haunting into your everyday. I don't know. That's just what it's about, man. It's about taking something that you love, which really it's one night, and then haunted houses extruded into a season, right? Then the people who really love it, who are like the Olympic torch runners, they pick up Halloween, they pick up haunted houses, and they fold them in every day of the year. They carry it, you know, and you have no idea how many people pile who are looking at you, and they get excited about haunt season because you're excited about haunt season.
That's true. I've ran into people, and I have my crew that just can't wait to get out there and explore more, just because we started it. And when you start something, you start getting a following, and you can't let it die, because if you let it die, then they lose the passion in it too.
And there's something also to be said for the way you do things, pal. I'm going to toot your horn for a minute. You have a group of people that when you guys get rained out, or if you're not open, that has the ability to go to the other haunts in your area, and even all the way out to me, and volunteer and bring that same love and joy and passion everywhere you guys go. You guys have come and volunteered with me a number of times now, and all my people are like, "Hey, when are the Chainers guys coming back?"
Yeah,
that's awesome.
It's easy to, it's not easy, but I mean, it's one thing to, have your home haunt. It's a completely other one to have a haunt that can get out in other places and bring that, where you go. That's amazing. You don't see that much.
Yeah, and it gives them experience, gives them an opportunity that they're not losing a night because Mother Nature decided that she was going to see if
Yeah.
she could rip down a tree or two.
We
Right.
have we have 20 nights to do what we love. Like that's it.
Yeah.
20 nights. And then we have to find a way to sustain ourselves, you know. It's the cow gets slaughtered October 1st. And in December and January you have beef jerky. That's what you've got. You
Yep.
know, you've got to make do. So when that cow is there, you have some steak. And if you didn't get a chance to get steak at your haunt, then you go to the next haunt nearby. I fully understand that.
Right.
As I evolved in my haunt career, I was what it says right there. Haunted. I was a haunted house guy. I was generally a haunted house guy. I was not associated with any one haunt. You know, I worked at one every year or different ones, but then, you know, I didn't have once I became whatever it is I am now, I guess a haunt director, I needed a place to focus my energy as opposed to having it dissipate. And I feel like when I focus my energy into dark hour, I can really do some good for my staff, for my customers, for my community. I can really do some good. If I'm dissipating my energy across all of the haunts, then you know there's a point in your haunt career where you flip, and you kind of have to have a show to pour into.
Yeah.
When I was younger, I mentioned I was at Skull Kingdom. I was at Terror Church Street year round, 40 hours a week. But I took my vacation the first 2 weeks of October and worked for other haunts around the country because I wanted to learn. I wanted to gather all that static energy. I wanted to learn all of those things, and I had to go out to see how other people did it and learn and adapt it and make it my own. I had to jump from Goldfish Bowl to Goldfish Bowl, and you know now I can say I've gathered enough goldfish bowls. Look at the ocean that I can create right here at Dark Hour. Look at the depth. Look at the biodiversity that I can put in this haunted house, all while still having a direction of that medieval dark fantasy, which is something that's near and dear to my heart that I love. You know,
Right. I'll tell you. There's just so much in the haunted house industry that I am thankful for. And if you've met me in person and had a conversation with me, you would have heard me say that the haunted house industry has saved my life. It absolutely has. It gave me purpose. It gave me a lot of things that I was searching for. Now, I want that for every single person, be a big haunt, be a small haunt, be whatever. Find the opportunity that you have that you can find something that just brings out the passion in you. There's so much things in the haunted house industry, anything from makeup to electronics to filming to doing this and that. There's not a single part in the haunted house industry that a single person can be a total master at, but it gives the opportunity for us to be jacks of a lot of trades.
Yeah.
so here's something that I coined a long time ago. I don't need to be the best at scenic painting, but I would like to be the seventh best. I don't need to be the best at costume design for haunted houses, but I would like to be the seventh best. You know, if I can be the seventh best at all of these different skills, how valuable am I? You know,
Right.
Yeah.
what usefulness do I have? And now I find myself, one of the things that I'm doing at Dark Hours, I'm making a bunch of full-time year-round haunters. You know, I carry a staff of 13 throughout the year. Not too many do that. But I like that, but that's what I want. And now I've created an environment where I'm in the risky job of I have all these different departments and department heads, and when they have a problem, I have to be able to solve it.
Yeah.
You know, it's and thank goodness I have a giant toolbox that I can reach back and say, I think this would work, or I think this is the right approach. And you know, if they need help, I'm there for support. But there's so many awesome people and young people who are just being forced to figure things out every day here, and that's magic. You know, that's where people grow. I do not expect the people who I have with me to stay with me forever. I honestly think that each one is going to find something that they really latch onto, start their own business and go. And, you know, more power to them. That's amazing. That's still haunt karma for me, because they're going out in the world doing something amazing from a nugget, or they started a fire from an ember that they got here at Dark Hour with us. That's really cool.
So we're at the point right now we need to take a 3-minute commercial break. Alan, would you like to join us for the second half?
Sure, absolutely. I can do that.
Because I have not even gotten into really talking about Dark Hour or your masking company or anything.
You're letting me ramble. I'm just rambling.
You know what? We are absolutely getting a lot out of what you're saying, and a lot of people need to hear this because they're not hearing this in some aspects in the haunted house industry. So absolutely, I think I might force my little minions to sit down and watch this later.
Oh, I'm literally going to put a link in our haunt group after this and tell everybody you need to see this before you come to the next acting training or the next get together, because this is important.
But we're going to take a 3-minute break. We'll be right back. Go ahead, watch the commercials, or take a potty break. It's up to you.
Greetings and shabebans. We are the Retro Reductopus Cephala Podcast, a long-form bi-weekly show that celebrates all the things that made growing up awesome.
Yeah, that sounds good, but I don't know what all those words mean.
I think what Parasite seems trying to say is that on Retro Reductopus, we explore a range of retro goodness, from toys, video games, and movies, to cartoons, and even snacks and school lunches.
Oh. And we do it all with a positive spin, a slew of killer guests, and some very adult language.
And you know what else is cool?
No.
This crazy show is part of the Door King Podcast Network with new episodes every Tentacle Tuesday.
What's that?
And if waiting 2 weeks for a new episode gives you a sad, know that we drop bonus episodes all the time, like the off-format Crow's Nest and an interview series we call The Brig.
You can listen to Retro Reductopus on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or any app that's cool enough to carry the only show that celebrates all the things that make growing up awesome.
And we're back, and I'll tell you what, it is great to have him.
I'm still chewing
here.
All right, there.
So now we got to start getting into Dark Hour, because Dark Hour is your haunted house that you came up with, you created, and it is just go through Dark Hour because I'll tell you, if you sent pictures, I apologize. Friday's not here, so all the pictures, I don't know where they are.
Then pretend I sent a bunch.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
all right.
tell us about this picture that we're not showing.
Boy, there are no simple stories, are there? Dark Hour is not a simple story. Dark Hour opened in 2013, and I was the director of the haunt when it opened. I was not the owner.
Okay.
And I was not the first director. There were 2 art directors before me, but I'm just the one who got it open. And I was the director here all through up until 2023. In January of 2023, the owner wanted to step back, and to avoid it being shut down, I accidentally bought it.
Now,
And
how does that accidentally buying happen?
I didn't want it to close down. There's too much good here. I already had 10 years of my life invested in it, and I didn't want to see it end. And I was able to work out a very creative deal where I would purchase the property. And it is one that I was not the only person who fed the art into it and the ideas, but I was probably the loudest voice because of what I did. And I'm very happy to be a custodian of it. That's how I look at myself, is that I'm the guy here to take care of this world that we made, and through direction, make sure it's going down a path strong enough that other people want to follow. That's it.
That's awesome.
What is it about? The backstory of Dark Hour is there are 12 witches. There's a coven of 13 witches. There's a coven of 13 witches. It's the Dark Hour Coven. And they're going to make a spell that causes a magical eclipse, which will make it nighttime forever. In order to do that, they need to harvest fear energy. So they built a haunted house. That's Dark Hour Haunted House.
Epic.
They're going through.
That is absolutely one of the most unique ones I've ever heard.
Yeah.
I like that.
But that coven of witches allows me to have a nightmare witch, who is a witch from the nightmare realm, who, reaches out into people's dreams and gives them nightmares and harvests their fear energy that way. It allows me to have a witch from ancient China, who is the dragon witch. And then I can do a little section of the haunted house, which is, ancient China and Chinese themed. I get to do a Wendigo witch, who is who eats people and gives people the cannibal curse of the Wendigo, and makes them prey upon their own loved ones and people around them, makes them hunger for human flesh. That's our main witch this year, is the Red Woman, we call her. We get to explore all of these different stories and cultures and things that scare people, and I try to line up each witch which is with a style of predation. So, like, everyone heard of an ambush predator? Well, that's one type of predation. Trapdoor spider. You get close, boom, and they grab you. A snapping turtle. The little tongue is there, looks like a worm, and then they get you. So each witch kind of lines up with a type of predation, and that's what I kind of build the scares around. And it just, I don't know, it's a way for me to put nature in it to make it seem more natural, even though everything feels very medieval dark fantasy. I want my haunted house to feel like the scariest parts of Lord of the Rings. That's what I think is cool. I want you to be in the scary parts of a Conan movie. That's what I want.
I like that. For a person that's been haunting for over 15 years, been at many different haunted houses, goes through many different haunted houses, I have never heard a haunted house story anywhere near what you have just said.
Yeah.
And I got a feeling that I've never experienced one that is quite like the way that you have.
It's a train wreck unless I believe in it hard enough or you think it makes sense. That's what I have to do. I have to every chance shove a little bit of that story down your throat, but also at the same time give you we have 14 different like flavored realms, because each witch is so powerful she warps the area around her into being an area that she's comfortable in and that she's the master of. That's so each witch's area kind of reflects her.
Mm-hmm.
So
I mean, those are the kind of the haunts that stand out for me are the ones that have an active storyline that you can pay attention to, whether it's from the website before you even show up, word of mouth, while you're there experiencing the things and knowing why this is there. Like you said, there's so many different sections, but there's a reason, there's a cohesion there. And that sets haunts aside from haunts that just throw a bunch of scenes up, and that's the end of the day.
So we're a standalone haunt, right? So a standalone haunt can get away with and even is encouraged to have a sewer room, a sheet maze, a scary mechanic shop, a greenhouse, a haunted library, and all of those different rooms kind of work, a butcher shop, all of those different rooms work, and a clown room, they all get shoved together. And if you're one haunted house and they're only going through one haunt, that's what people really they want to hit all those different notes and they want to see that.
Yeah.
Right.
The only way that I can say everything is dark fantasy in Dark Hour and still hit all those notes is to have a framework story that holds all those very different witches together from different cultures.
Right.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
That is very creative thinking.
That's the way that I strive to do it. Again, my way's not the only way. This is that's my path through the tall grass. Right. Everybody's gonna find their own way, and as long as you don't fall in a hole or quit, then you're on the right path too. I can show you guys some pictures because I have a Google Drive.
Yeah.
And I have a setup in my office because my job is to share ideas with people. So I can spin the camera around and show you.
I just got our whole haunt to switch to Google Drive 2 years ago. It was like the biggest struggle to get everybody on board for, but once we did, it made life so much easier, man.
Yeah. Well, just having all of that information, around is really nice.
Yep.
But it does take me a second to find things sometimes. Because if I start with witch as my search word, then that brings up hundreds of things in my... Yeah.
I'm the person that irritates everyone on the drive by making subfolders for everything, like obsessively.
So, has there ever been a big struggle in your haunt that you've just looked at and said, man, this is just tripping me up, but you've been able to overcome it?
I think one of the reasons that I seem to succeed is I have no idea when I'm actually failing. I can't think of something framed the way that you said it that is a situation like that. I have the same challenges as everybody else. I have not mastered having staff that hang out all season. No, lives happen. They move on. The job is hard. They're going to drop off. That's every haunt has that challenge.
Right.
I can't get any more customers to show up on opening weekend than you can. That's just how it is. They're going to come at the end of the season. We have this peak. I haven't figured out how to redistribute it.
That's so true.
But those are challenges that everybody has. And I don't see that as a failing. I see that as nature. You know, it's cold in the winter. Can't change that. So that's, you accept it and you move on. The challenges that I see in haunting and that I'm constantly fighting and addressing are nature. And you do what you can. You put on a coat. So you advertise more at the beginning of the year. You let word of mouth carry you towards the end. If you have a $10,000 budget for advertising, spend it all the last weekend in September and the first weekend in October. And then you'll get enough word of mouth that it'll probably sustain you through the rest. Because if you're dropping, $1,000 on ads the week of October, it's probably wasted money because they're coming anyway.
Right.
And it just, have a good haunted house and don't be a dick. That's my.
There you go, right there.
Right there.
That's Raz's number one rule to everyone when I do my opening speech to everybody when we're getting all them there for orientation. This is what's my rule number one. Everybody chants it back. Don't be a dick.
There you go. That's right. That's right.
Followed by the speech from Goonies, to remind them that it's our time down here, because that's I have to do that every year too.
Boy, I'm having a hard time finding my files, and I don't want to split my talking is more important than,
You're fine.
That's fine. At any point, if you ever want to share photos or something like that, and like I said, Friday might have some photos, and we just don't know about them because she's actually the one that answers all the emails.
Yep.
And she poses like me, and she poses like Raz all the time.
Yep. She's our gal Friday.
If you have them, it's because my wife posed as me and sent them.
I figured this out
stalking.
too.
Jenny's also very good at stalking, like for good.
Oh yeah.
Let me specify the for good part.
But also, you can type Alan Hopp's haunted house stuff into Google and things pop up.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not hard to find some of the cool things, or look up Dark Hour. I'm very proud of Dark Hour's digital profile. We've had several really talented digital artists and videographers and photographers who've worked with us over time, and that trail is lovely. It's nice to look back and say, wow, that was important to us 8 years ago.
Yeah.
So a while back, somebody told me that you had offered, or you do offer, a kind of training camp.
See, now here is where my life is complicated. We have Monster Camp, which is where people come here and they learn how to make a latex mask over 3 days, or a silicone mask or whatever. We sculpt it on Friday, we mold it on Saturday, we clean it out, we pour it up, and then Sunday morning we have hatching day. You pull it out of the mold and you see the mask that you made, and then you paint it and you have a finished mask when you leave here Sunday afternoon. That is one of the most rewarding things that I do. We've had 35 or 36 different monster camps, and we have made well over 200 different mask makers out into the wild. And if I go to a show like Midwest or East Coast, there's 4 to 8 booths there that started at Monster Camp, and that makes me really proud.
That is pretty dang awesome right there.
Yeah, it is.
See, I knew there was a camp or a class or something. I just could not remember exactly what it was. And
why I was confused a bit in the beginning, and to see that information, go to StiltbeastStudios.com, and you can get on a list in order to find out when we post the classes for next year, which will be very soon. Probably the next couple of weeks, we'll be having those classes posted for next year's schedule. I think it's remarkable, but again, it's something where you show up and you get a bag of clay, and you're in a zero failure environment. I'm gonna talk you through, you know, and work with you through the whole process of sculpting it and getting your idea onto the clay and then into that final mask form.
Mm-hmm.
And you start with a bag of mud and you end up with a finished character. You have an idea in your head. My favorite part about my job, I have an idea in my head, and then I can see it walking around in a cool environment. Really, we're making dreams, nightmares become a reality. And that's one of the coolest things that I do. Those moments I always treasure.
That's awesome.
But why I was confused and why I was like, well, what is he talking about? Because we have done in the past a lot of actor training. So a haunt might have us come out and we'll go to that haunted house and we'll do a full weekend of actor training where we'll do a walkthrough of the haunt and work with the haunt owners and designers to maybe do some tweaks or maximize what they're doing. And then Saturday, we'll do a full day of actor training. And then normally on early Sunday, we'll either do advanced training for like walk around characters or hit something very specific, or we'll do airbrush makeup training.
So through the comments, there's plenty of people talking about the monster camp.
Oh yeah.
And apparently this person has went through twice and it's life-changing.
Pyle, have you enjoyed this hour?
Yes.
Monster camp is 3 days.
Oh, jeez.
That's amazing to me.
If I could walk away from some of the stuff I do and be sure that it would be okay while I walked away from it for, 3 days. I almost had a panic attack this last weekend because my cell phone, I didn't have dispatch for the emergency disaster service call anybody else, and I had no reception. So I didn't know if there was an emergency, and I didn't set it up right. So as long as I can do my part correctly, that would be awesome of finding your monster camp and doing it for 3 days.
Well, I'd go with you, man.
Come on out. We'd love to have you. It's an experience. If you haven't sculpted before or you haven't made a mask, it's a start down a journey, And again, like I said, it's a zero failure environment. You're going to leave with a cool looking finished mask. That's the guarantee. No one has ever not finished a mask.
Oh wow.
They all get done. Down to we did 2 silicone monster camps this year where they made a silicone mask in that same time period. And we came in and there's 6-8 students or whatever it is in different. My wife says something to me. Okay, here.
Oh yeah. Media links.
I gotta listen to the wife. Hey, my wife pulled up a ton of pictures and photos and stuff that I can show you guys. That's cool. Okay, thanks, wife. And we'll get into that here in a minute. What was I talking about?
Talking about the monster camp and masks, and
you get to come here and you're in an environment where you're not worried about your phone going off. You're not worried about being the boss. Your job for those 3 days is to get the art out of your head and into that clay and then into that latex. And then through painting, give it a personality. It's one of my favorite things that I do. The actor training weekends that we do are phenomenal also. I get to meet hundreds of actors every haunt season where we can travel around. And what's amazing about what I get to do, it's not what I can teach people, it's what I can learn. Because if I say, hey, here's how you paint a skull, and I make a YouTube video about it, I'm going to get 50 people who say, when I paint a skull, I do this. And that's a tip that I learned. So I just had to show people, my way. And then I learned 50 ways or 100 ways. And so that knowledge just keeps compounding. And now I know 50 different ways to paint a skull, or different tips, tricks, and materials that other people feed into me. But the same is true with haunt acting. I see and I learn things every season when we're out. These performers do astounding and amazing things, and I get to orchestrate it. That's cool.
That's awesome.
So go ahead.
One of the things I wanted to know is, when you're making a mask and you're making a whole costume and you're making the creature that you want to, what feeds the passion to create it from start to finish?
Well, finished is the goal. Finished is better than perfect. I don't worry about this has to be perfect. I get it fun, I get it cool, and I get it finished enough. What's a lot of the time, I just want to show people something they've never seen before. We did just recently, our most recent show was a Fang Frenzy, and we actually let people on Facebook decide what kind of fanged creatures they were going to see inside of Fang Frenzy. So in like a month before the show, we said, what kind of animals with fangs do you want to see inside of here that to attack you during this Fang Frenzy? And someone posted snails. I want to see snails. And people voted. Snails got the most votes. So we made were snails for this last show. And there's two ways that you can do that. You can take it and you can think, snails, what the heck? That's a joke answer, Right. Or you can accept that challenge and say, how can I make snails terrifying? And we did a pretty good job. If you look at Dark Hours social media and just go back a little bit, you'll see some videos of some were snails that we have moving around. Alex, our costume designer, very talented, built these snail shell backpacks, which are just beautiful. In one of the monster camps, I sculpt the mask along with people too. So I made a snail mask. And then the backpack and the mask, and we figured out the rest of the costume. And then we put them on little wheeled carts. So they had to move around. They were, on these little carts, and they slid along the ground. They were only this high. And it was a lot of fun. And it was just really cool to show people something they've never seen before. And what's my inspiration? My inspiration is not on the front end. The front end is the idea, the concept, and the spark. The inspiration is that I'm going to give this to an actor, and that's going to empower them. That's going to make them feel awesome because they look good. Or take it a little bit further, take it to the guest. Or the guest, like in my haunt, my goal is not to scare the crap out of people. My goal is to make them say wow 10 times. If they're going through the haunt and they say wow 10 times, then I've released their inner child enough where an actor can figure out how to scare them.
Right.
Because I brought that child to the surface. I brought that wonder. I brought that amazement. And if I can make them do that, then that makes the actor's jobs easier. So the goal while I'm making it is, what are the reactions going to be to it? How are people going to feel when they see this, when it chases them?
Right.
Well, when I'm painting it, I think about, what is this going to look like coming out of the dark? What is this going to look like scaring someone and then going back into the dark? That environment, that relationship between predator and prey, between actor and customer, that's what I'm thinking about. And I'm in the sculpture, in the paint job, trying to tweak it to change that relationship down the road. Did I answer your question? Again, I feel like I'm rambling.
You are answering the
Great.
question and giving a lot of detail in your question or in your answer. And I love that because some people just go and they're like, well, this is where it comes from. And then that's all you get. You are so passionate in everything you do in this haunted house industry, in the work that you do, that there are so much details. And every time you talk about it, you can hear the passion in everything, which is amazing.
I desperately want other people to do what I do. I desperately want other people to find the joy that I have found. And I found it through making things. I found it in haunting. I found it in working with others. I found it in sharing what I love with the rest of the world. So that's what I want other people to do.
I think Raz just had a motorcycle go past.
Yep, they couldn't catch the audio in time.
So let's see if we can figure out how to.
You want to see some pictures?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. This is going to be a little bit weird. Okay.
I like weird.
So this is my office. I don't
Okay.
know it's kind of a mess because I work a lot. See Beastman in the corner. He's one of my favorite characters.
Hell yeah.
I'm surrounded by monster toys and art. That back wall looks like Castle Grayskull because I wanted to have a fun space to do things in. Up top there is a whole bunch of different werewolf masks because they're my favorite. And now I'm going to set you up on tripod. Okay, can you see the TV?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, you can see that pretty good. And now I can do this, and we can run through some of these. And let me get a little closer with my tripod. This is what you do when you're not technical. This is the camera pointed at. Hold on, go down there. All right. It's a camera pointed at a TV, which will show you the image. Does the TV take up more of the frame now?
Yeah, it does. If it would go a little higher. There you go.
That's good?
That's good.
Okay. So this witch is Annabelle, and she is the demon speaker. So she is from colonial America. Oh, I need to go a little higher still. I can do that. I can't see the screen that shows me what it looks like. How's that?
That's
More?
Better. That's great.
That'll work.
Okay. In the ghetto. All right.
But by the way, Friday, we miss you. Come back soon.
Very much.
So, you know, this environment, it's colonial America. That's what this witch brings with her. You can see she's got a planchette for a necklace because she's actually helping demons possess children. This is Baba Lupina. She is the mother of werewolves. So she has a certain Eastern European flair, and you know her area is all decked out. You can see the Vardo back there and the full moon. This is actually inside the haunt. So we have a big fake moon inside the haunt that is up there.
I so want to go to your haunt so bad.
Come see us. Come hang out. This is the Nightmare Witch. This is on the eyes. We put reflective tape so that the eyes glow. This is back when we had an asylum haunt, and the Nightmare Witch was involved in that. So you could, but I love silhouette. I love silhouette. I love shadows. This is Corva Hive, the Witch of Swarms. So she is from ancient Egypt, and she controls any creature that swarms. So it could be bugs, it could be roaches, it could be spiders, it could be snakes. Anything that makes a swarm, she can have control over. And, so we have, we get the chance to do an ancient Egyptian temple. Now, this is from our Dead by Dark Hour show. We made our own slasher versions of 80 slashers. We made our own. So that's Jacob, who is a Amish guy who was kicked in the face by a donkey that broke his face, and he had to wear a mask.
That's awesome.
Yes.
This is Carl Cleaver, who is a character that I play on occasion. I'll be playing him again in North Carolina coming up in late August, I think it is. He's one of the slashers that shows up sometimes in our Dead by Dark Hour. Again, a Dead by Dark Hour slasher. Dead by Dark Hour is our off-season show that's interactive, where when you go through, the slasher killers can kill you by putting a sticker on you. And each one has their own different sticker. This is one of our sliders who is a lightning bug. Happens to be in the Egyptian temple.
That's amazing that that's a slider.
Yeah, you can see the slider's mouth down here, and the eyes are looking out here. And this whole thing came about because this person's allergic to latex. So they needed a different setup and array,
Right.
Egypt. This is out front. Some of our characters out front. That's Teddy. He is one of my creative admins. Mothman costume.
Oh, my son would absolutely go nuts for that.
Hell yeah.
We have fun. Like, we do a lot of stuff. Goblins, Yeah, I guess that was. No, that was not the last. Oh, I clicked wrong. I'm bad at this. Goblins. This is Maeve, the Goblin Queen. So Maeve McKenna has horns and big wings, and she controls a horde of goblins. She's from the Goblin realm. So that's one of our witches. And these pics are all inside the haunt. So hey, that's me. This is my scary fat monster costume. When I get to go inside and have some fun. Black cat. Inside the show. I don't know what you guys want to see or talk about. This is a candle ghost that we do here every now and then.
These are just so amazing. Now, have you made all these masks?
Not the one that I wear. That's from a friend of mine named Chris. And he exhibits at Transworld and stuff. So we make almost all of them. I think this is not one of ours. His wife make another skull mask. This is from another company. I think that whenever a haunt can, they should put Halloween inside their show. And, so we have the first section is Halloween, the Halloween witch.
Really?
And, so you're being attacked by trick-or-treaters and, scarecrows. So it's very Halloween themed, that whole first section. Scarecrows. This is Halloween right here. And every witch has a name and then a moniker. So her name is Halloween. Her moniker is the child-eating witch. Because she eats kids.
You guys have done so well on these photos.
Well, so this is a couple different photographers' work. Our main photographer right now is Robert, artist Julio, if you want to look him up. He does work for other haunts too, but he's kind of our boy. And we're just very lucky to have him, and he keeps making inspirational images for us. But you know, everybody gets involved. You know, our this is our lead stilt walker, and this is a Brandy Beast mask. If you know her from shows, because Kaylee goes with me and does stilt walking in my booth a lot of the time. This is Halloween and some of her trick or treaters.
I have seen your stilt walker at Transworld this year.
Yeah, yep. We have several there every year.
I actually came in the wrong doorway, and that's because crazy Bob sent me in the wrong doorway, and when I went in the wrong doorway, I went through the curtain there, and your stilt walker was right beside that curtain, and did not know that your stilt walker was right there.
So this is a Frankenstein set. You can see Frankenstein in the background. He's about 15 feet up in the air. And this body is a little over 8 feet tall. We made this. We have an actor here who's 6'9", I think he is. And we made a tape form of him, cut it open, extended it, and foam filled it until he was, you know, just over 8 feet. And then that's this whole background. But it's Frankenstein, and all these different monitors are showing his brain function, brain waves, blood cells going through his body, his heart beating. I wanted to do this ancient Frankenstein with this new technology kind of supporting him, and I love that set. And that's a Dwarky, who's one of the lab assistants. And this is Lab Rat, who is another lab assistant. This is the Vampire Witch. She is a witch and a vampire. Oh, nope. Now we're at the mermaid. See how fast it changes? But yeah, all these are inside the haunt. And if you watch my YouTube channel, I made that headdress as a YouTube video for that mermaid. And that's this here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I could just show you guys pictures forever. Like, I mean, I've got 15 years worth of pictures of all kinds of different things.
I love the differences in all of your characters versus what I'm used to. I mean, anybody can go out and buy a mask from a spirit or this and that. That's a clown mask. These are all masks that are original to your haunt because you made them, except for a few, right?
Yes. Yeah. And, you know, if I'm going to do a skull, then, you know, the skull is going to be probably someone else's. I don't need it to be mine. There's already good skulls out there. But a lot of times I want something that's going to be very different. The headpiece for Lalandra here, the Vampire Witch, I made this. You know, this is a lace doily that a friend of mine gave me. And, you know, I painted it silver and put some stuff on it and added the horns. I laser cut these Gothic windows up top of the headpiece. We designed the whole costume, and it just has a lot of detail in it. You never see her eyes. And one of the goals with the witches is to be able to let several people play the witches.
Yeah.
I don't want to get caught in that clique where I'm this witch, so I'm important.
Right.
Every actor's important. So we can, you know, this is from a show. This is a promo shot from a show that we never did because this was a St. Patrick's Day show for 2021, right when COVID hit. and I decided not to do the show because we didn't know enough about it at the time. And this was we were doing a St. Patrick's show where the snakes were coming back to Ireland, so it's all snake people.
Nice.
This is my 3 witches, which are the 3 Stygian witches that you see in Clash of the Titans. Well, those are witches from history. So this is my version of them. Is this a Dark Hour promo video? Is that what this is? Yes.
Maybe.
It is, but I don't know if I can get it to play for some reason. Oh, now it's large. Oh, here's a funny story. This is Victoria Frankenstein that we've had in our haunt for many years. And now Universal has Victoria Frankenstein, who rules in their new Dark Universe, at the Epic Park.
That's funny.
This is Victoria Frankenstein, who's one of our witches. Remember I mentioned the Wendigo witch. This is the Red Woman. This is what she looks like.
Oh, I love that.
And, you know, a friend of mine, Robert, had mentioned once, you always see antlers, but you don't ever see the bloody antlers with the velvet hanging off of them. And so I'm like, okay, you will now. And
that is exactly what I was thinking. Man, that looks like the velvet when the deers are just scraping them off.
Yeah, they're shedding. And then if you look at this set back here, this is a birch bark wigwam, and these are all birch trees. This is all in the haunt. So, you know, we made all these trees. Some of them are painted, obviously, but a lot of them are 3D, and we do it in a way to build up layers. But this is character in the haunt. She's spooky. Yeah, so let me move the camera back over here. But that way I got to share some pictures with you.
And they're amazing pictures too.
Definitely. A lot of amazing stuff in there.
Yeah, absolutely. Man. It just makes me want to jump in my vehicle and take a cross-country trip.
Yeah.
Come on. Come see us.
Well, I got plenty of friends that are down in Texas.
Yeah, including Friday.
Yep, Friday's down in Texas. And I bet you Troy would be more than happy to see me.
Yeah, and now Texas is big, so depending upon where they are in Texas, we're in the DFW area. We're just, we're about 20, 30 minutes north of Dallas. We're in Plano, Texas. But I can leave my house and I can drive for 16 hours in one direction. I'm still in Texas.
Yeah.
My wife is back here cackling like a witch because she's from Texas and she's just nodding her head and going on. She's like, "Oh,
in San Antonio."
Texas is big.
Oh yeah, it is. There's only one state bigger than that, and that's Alaska.
Yeah, we have. I'm going back to Dark Hour. Our goal is to make a wonderful playground. So we make sets that are different. And again, I want people to say, "Wow!" I'm not worried about scaring them. I want them to turn a corner and they see a wigwam village in a birch forest. That's what they see. They turn the corner and they're in an underground vampire lair, and there's coffins stacked up and there's blood bags hanging everywhere. I want to make amazing visuals that make people say wow, and then make awesome costumes and let the cast come up with amazing characters to fill in. Yeah. That's what we want to do.
So now that we have went through a lot of what is Alan Hops, is there any advice that you could give a brand new haunter that's just coming into the industry?
Don't worry about what your customers want. You build the show that you want, that you think is cool. There's a writer who did the Jerrig series, which is dark fantasy.
Yeah.
Stephen Bruce, and he wrote, I like rapiers and cloaks, so what I write has a lot of rapiers and cloaks. You know, Robert E. Howard likes great swords and battle axes and half-naked barbarians, so that's what he writes.
Yep.
And people are going to love your work based off how much you love it. So don't compromise on, well, I got to put, and just an example, clowns in here because people love and want to see clowns. They don't see clowns at dark hour. Every now and then I'll say, oh, you don't have any clowns. I'm like, no, I don't. If you want to see a clown in a haunted house, I can give you a list of 20 other haunted houses nearby, which are packed full of clowns. But they don't fit the dark fantasy that I want. You be you. What we do as a haunt is we train our audience. You're going to throw on a show that is unique to you. People are going to come through, and the ones who love it will come back again within 3 years. The ones who don't love it, they might not come back. But if you run enough people through your show, that's why a haunt having longevity is important. You run enough people through your show that enough people love it, then you build up that audience where if I open my doors, I know I'm going to do 10,000 people in a season. If I didn't advertise that much, just native social media. You know, I do advertising because I want to get those numbers to be 35, 40,000, because that's how I keep the lights on. That's how I get to pay more people and make more year-round haunters, and be able to do more fun projects. But having a show that is uniquely you, that you directed, don't let the pile of garbage you drove by direct your show. If you drive by a pile of road cones and you decide, oh, I can get all these free road cones, I'm going to have a road cone room. That's kind of cool, but you did just let garbage direct your show. You know, have a vision, have a plan, and then figure out how to execute it with the materials that you have or have access to.
Hell yeah.
You know, I think it's funny that you brought up clowns, because yeah, almost everybody, there's some haunts that are absolutely 100% clowns.
Yes.
The day I met you at Midwest, later on, I went back to the hotel, and they had a jesters convention group that was coming through. And I asked them, what's the difference between a jester and a clown? And they said a clown is there to entertain everyone. The jester's job is to only entertain himself, which people pick up on him enjoying it, so they enjoy it because he's enjoying it.
Oh yeah.
And I
would
just thought
say laces and dags are the difference.
Laces
and
and
dags.
dags.
Laces, like jesters lace up and just dag the costume. And the hats, definitely very different hats.
Oh yeah. We had a pair of Harlequin sliders for a while, and that was interesting to, you know, that because that's also a whole other thing.
Yeah. Awesome.
Right. But yeah, everything that you have shown us, talked about, has been absolutely amazing. What all platforms do you want people to go look at your YouTube, and do you have something else that you want people to go look at?
We do a live most Wednesday nights, and we stop right about 8 o'clock, which is right about the time you guys come on StiltBeast Live on YouTube. I've been pretty serious about kicking videos out again on the StiltbeastStudios channel. So this week there'll be a video dropping. We're kind of closed off for orders. I don't want anybody to order any masks. We're busy making the things we've already contracted to make. I don't want them to seek me out. I want whatever they think is cool about me to nurture that in themselves, because it's there. It's there. Don't seek me out. I'm easy to find. If you need me, I'm here. You know, you can hit me anywhere. But there's a director in you, there's an artist in you, and nurture that. That's what I want you to do. That's what I want to have happen. Because when I teach skills, if we all have the skills, then I get to see what your ideas are, because you're not held back by the barrier of not knowing how to do something.
Right.
You know, nurture that artist in you, nurture that director, and make awesome art for people to see and be inspired by. That's what I want. Don't follow me. Make me follow you.
You know what? You are one of the most humblest people I've ever had the honor of talking to.
Hands down.
I love what I do.
Yeah.
What I do is work in the shadows. It doesn't make a lot of sense for me to try to jump out in the limelight all the time if I'm a haunted house guy and a shadow guy. I just think that I do my best work in the dark, you know, whether it's working with people, showing customers that they're going to survive and they're stronger than they think, showing cast members that they have enough confidence to hold down a whole room while thousands of people come through. My best work is done over there in the dark. It's not about the light. It's about how much you can make the dark accept people or change people.
You are the terror that flaps in the night.
Darkwing Duck. When you're in trouble, call DW.
Yep.
This has been one of the most enjoyable of all of our podcasts, and trust me, I love when we have Mike Ross on here. I love when we have Troy. I love when we have the random people, the haunt actors, this and that.
Or Mr. Fred Hearn.
Yeah. There is just absolutely so much that you guys can absolutely take from this episode. And if you missed a little bit, don't worry, because it's going to go up on our YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
That way you can watch it again and again and again, because I totally forgot that we were doing a podcast halfway through this really quick, just because the whole inspirational talk and you feel like you're rambling on. We are learning so much, and it's so inspiring.
You will never understand how much I love what I do.
Oh,
And
I wish I could have a good fraction of it.
One of the things that I get to do is put that spark in other people. You know, isn't that phenomenal? You know, I get to start this forest fire of creativity and art and acceptance of the darkness within yourself through haunting. Ah, man, my life is awesome. I can't say that all the time because it's so. I love my haunted house. I have a dream job, according to many people. Yeah, it's work sometimes. You know, my wife is the absolute love of my life. You know, my life is freaking awesome. So I had better be nice to people. I had better be appreciative. I had better tell them, make your life awesome, because you have the power to do that. And if I'm not doing that, I'm wasting my time.
And this is the reason that we have a Alan Hops button.
Oh, yeah.
Because so many people have told me, oh, no, you got to watch this. Oh, watch this. I'll watch this. And 7 times I heard somebody going on and on about how watching the Alan Hops videos have helped them, have inspired them, have this and that. And I hope you truly understand what you have started in many, many people's imaginations, their everything. Because, yes, I even had to put Alan Hops button on this show just because
it's
what you do.
Oh, yeah. And for those of you that are just joining us, our network for the first time, we actually have a lot of different shows on the Outlight Network. It is an entire network dedicated to storytelling in many different mediums. We have authors, filmmakers, actors. We do shows about cryptids. We watch terrible movies and talk about them so you don't have to. And we haunt. We do so many different things here. And to get someone like you that understands the storytelling aspect of what this is, perhaps more than any guest we've ever had, not just on this show, but many other shows that we've done, it's a breath of fresh air, man.
Thank
Absolutely.
you. Well, come on and talk about haunted houses. Twist my arm. Okay, I'm down.
Well, let me just say it's been an absolute pleasure. We are at our 2 hours. I do have a couple of announcements, but I will wait for 2 more weeks for these announcements to come out, just because we want to make sure that all the information is correct on these announcements. So hopefully we get some of you guys to watch our next episode here in 2 weeks. We're actually going to talk to a haunter that she is a really good slider, and she's been at a couple of different haunted houses, from Kings Island to, I do believe that she is part of the USS Nightmare.
Yep.
Yep.
He also sometimes volunteers in Hell's Dungeon.
Yep. So hopefully you guys all tune in. Alan, I can't say thank you enough. Next time we meet, you pick the beverage and I will buy it for you. I've
Coke
seen
Zero.
some of your videos.
That's my beverage. Coke Zero.
That's like Dell.
If you want a Coke Zero, I'll get it in there.
Thank you guys for having me on. I really appreciate it. Truly. This is
Absolutely. And anytime that you feel like, you know what, you want to talk and you want to come back on the show, you or your darling wife can get a hold of us, and we would be more than happy to have you. But I know how busy of a person you are, and it's a very long schedule. But you did get through the conventions, I do believe, right?
I have one more at
And
the
what
end of
convention?
July. We have one in Texas. Yeah.
The Texas Haunters Convention, correct?
Yep.
All right. So hopefully the wonderful flea bag that I call my friends don't win by putting skeletons together and putting Home Depot and Walmart and stuff like that. They were great costumes. Congratulations for winning last year, but you guys got to step it up. Troy.
Yeah, Troy.
But thank you very much for being on the show. And like I said, I see you in person. I'll get you a Coke Zero.
Thank you kindly, guys. Appreciate it. Have a great night.
You too, man.
Go make stuff.
Absolutely. We thank you guys very much for watching the show, and we are going to sign off. But before we do that, I hope that everybody has had a wonderful, inspirational talk by this wonderful man, and we absolutely all need to come up with some great ideas, because I'll tell you what, if he's wanting to watch us all, we've got to be able to show off what we can do. So, thank you guys, and always enjoy the wonderful season, and don't forget to smile.
And spay and neuter your friends.
Do your friends. Oh, geez. Ooh, we're still here. Not for long.